Hey, so I'm in this awesome creative space with Nathan Dalton. He is a filmmaker. I can't wait to show you this. Hi, I'm Megan Jaworski and welcome to the Change Collective, inspiring, educating and creating positive social change. And today I'm very, very excited because I have a special guest. He was a teacher, science and maths teacher, who then left the teaching profession to start up his own filmmaking company, and now he produces, writes films, makes films, and he's currently working on a documentary about the education system. So this episode is going to be educational. It's also going to be inspiring, and if you're thinking of changing, leaving a stable profession to pursue your creativity and your passion, then this is the episode for you. So I'm very excited to have Nathan Dalton here today. Hi Nathan, welcome to the show.
Megan. Thanks very much.
Excellent. Nathan, so you were a teacher for how many years?
I think 7 or 8.
Seven or eight, similar length of time as me.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to leave teaching to make films, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So what made you decide to make a film on the education system in Australia?
Well, I think being a teacher, you're around students, you're around parents, you're around other teachers, you're around administrators, and you often hear about some of the issues or their complaints or their observations or sometimes their desire for something different, maybe something better. And so I think also growing up in a household where both my parents were teachers, I was kind of around just schools in general for a long time. So I think just eavesdropping kind of made me curious as to what something better could be like. So I think just me, there's always this desire for something to be better, always longing for some sort of a better future. And then also just being curious, it kind of led me down this path of like asking questions.
What kind of questions were you asking around education?
Are we doing this right? Are we doing this as best as we can?
Yeah.
Could we be doing it better? What are we actually trying to achieve here? What's the purpose of our schooling system? Hearing students when I'm trying to teach them geometry, when am I ever going to need this?
Yes.
Or adults who have left school, they're like, why didn't they teach me basic financial skills that I'm now having to learn when I'm 30?
Yeah.
Those sorts of things.
I think that's really important because it's also a similar reason as to why I left the education system too, was because I didn't see the purpose in so much of it, standardized testing and that kind of thing, and what are we actually preparing our students for once they leave here.
Yeah.
So I think that's they're really great questions to ask. And are they the sorts of questions that you answer or that you're searching for the answers within this documentary?
Yeah, very much so. Like, I'm not the expert. I'm just trying to ask questions, and I'm just curious, trying to find out what smarter, more knowledgeable, more research people are doing. So essentially what I'm doing is asking, what are we actually trying to achieve? How are we doing with that? What could we be doing better?
And who are you asking these questions to?
Researchers, educators, philosophers,
Yeah.
teachers, just kind of anyone who has some sort of an invested interest in that space.
Yeah. And what have you found so far? Because Nathan was a maths and science teacher, so you're very big on data. And so you don't want this to just be some kind of fluffy documentary. No. So tell us a little bit about what you found so far.
Yeah, you're right. Numbers matter to me. And the thing with teaching is everyone's got their opinion. Everyone's like, I wish this or this works or whatever else. And there's kind of data to suggest that anything kind of works. John Hattie, one of the big researchers, he says everything works, but it's kind of like, what are we trying to achieve and what works best for those desired outcomes? I've definitely got a long way to go. A couple of points of data that stand out to me is that, for example, NAPLAN. They say that the outcomes that you get from NAPLAN, I think it's around 60% come from hereditary, just like how we're born. 60% comes from that. 10 to 15% comes from our shared communal environment. So just living in a certain place, certain area, 10 to 15% of the NAPLAN results come from that. And so it's only rather the 25 other percent that comes from what's happening in the school.
Wow.
So we kind of take NAPLAN as like schools are judged on 100%, but they're only actually accountable for about 25, estimated to be 25% of that.
So therefore schools that I guess this is a generalization, but you might find that schools that are in more affluent areas probably are naturally going to get slightly more higher results because the parents might place a higher emphasis on education, or their parents are doctors and they're more academically inclined, so that the genetic component comes through in that way, because NAPLAN is a very particular style and only shows one area of intelligence, really.
That's right.
So it's not a true indication of how well the school's doing.
Yeah, and that's right. And on that, the family, the biggest indicator of outcomes is not the parent, it's not the school, it's not public versus private, where there seems to be very little evidence towards the quality of teaching, but actually is the socioeconomic area that the student comes from. Will determine their academic achievement. One other thing I found interesting is that in terms of ATAR, which kind of our whole senior education system is built towards this ATAR, I'm told that students who go to university, of those who make it into university, only about 26% of them, it was the ATAR that got them into that.
26%?
Only 26% was the ATAR.
Much, is it?
So many got in through other means. And then of that, we're told that only around 50% of students 50% of students end up going to university. So if you take 50% of the 26%, it's really like 13 to 15%.
Actually get into university based on their ATAR.
Yeah, that's right. And yet that's kind of what the
whole system is set up for, is for that.
It feels like it's really not serving the needs of many students.
Yeah, well, that's right. And in today's day and age, I don't know if this is what you found in your research or not, but I was listening to leading marketers and they're saying that, you know, so many people don't even require a university degree anymore, such as Google. They're looking for experience, for personality types, they're looking for your drive, your creativity, that's not necessarily measured by a certificate that you get at the end of a 3 or 4 year degree. So have you found any of that, or is that something that you're looking at as well?
It's definitely the common story that I've heard from numerous sources as well too. There's just not that requirement on that certificate anymore that there used to be. And when we went through school and generations before, it's kind of like, do well at school, go to university, that will get you into the job, which you'll do for 40 years, like pick a fence and all the rest. And it's just not the case anymore.
No, well, the average person stays in a job for 5 years now, I heard.
I've heard that as well.
We're not preparing students for that way of thinking.
And on top of that is, again, I'm told, I need to fact check all these, that students who do complete the university degree, so for that small number who go to university, complete the degree, on average it's 3 to 5 years until they're working in that field. Most of them going into hospitality or something else while they're job seeking, trying to get
so it
a
takes
job
them 3 to 5 years to
on average
get their foot in the door. Do you think the current education system is setting up students for entrepreneurship, which is increasing?
I don't think it's something that is explicitly taught in schools a lot. I'm excited by hearing these stories where schools are doing some really interesting, creative, entrepreneurial type ventures, but it doesn't seem to be the norm. But it does certainly seem to be something that is useful in this world that we're moving into, something that is maybe more required. But it does, like the Titanic, it takes a bit of a shift to turn the big education system around.
So is that what you're hoping to achieve from this documentary? Would you like it to help be that big Titanic system that starts, because you're interviewing, was it the education minister, or are you interviewing people in parliament within the education sector?
Yeah, I interviewed the federal minister for education. So graciously gave me a bit of time. But yeah, I mean, by no means do I expect to be the answer to solve any of these problems, but I do want to contribute to that conversation. And I also want to try and make something that is, education, like many industries, has a certain language around it, and it can be fairly inaccessible for many people. I'm hoping that through this project I can make these issues that I do feel is a big fundamental issue. Like, we've got in Australia, I think, over 3 or 4 million children in schools, and we need to do the best we can through education to solve the 21st century problems. I just want to contribute towards this issue that I think a lot of people recognise. There's a lot of talk about and a lot of opinions. And I just want to throw in my 2 cents and try and make it a bit more accessible to a wider audience.
Yes, and with the data to back up
exactly.
what people are saying.
Exactly.
Because people often they can see that there needs to be a shift,
but
we don't know exactly the percentage, and the data that you've shared with us so far has surprised me. I didn't know this. Where do you see this whole movement going in education? Where would you like to see it based on your background, your research?
Yeah, well, I think it does seem to be happening from the top, from something the Education Minister said. He recognises and he's talking about reform and changes in a positive direction. And I also see it in the classrooms, in the schools, at the grassroots level as well. Where does it go?
It's a top-down approach, or
I don't know. I feel
a combination of both.
Yeah, I don't actually know. I've heard arguments for both ways, and I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I guess though, this is a good thing. This is why you need to watch the documentary, because as it unfolds, this might become, the solution might become a bit more apparent.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I found is I like maths, I like science, I like finding precise, exact answers. And I want black and white answers, but the more I've learnt, the more grey it is, and it is really hard to get black and white answers sometimes. And something as vast as education, dealing with millions of children, dealing with so many different contexts and backgrounds and families, there's thousands of variables at play. We'll see where we go.
Yeah. I think one good thing, this is just me putting in my 2 cents, is valuing more of the arts in education, because they tend to be scaled down, yet creative thinking and creative processes are becoming more and more important in today's day and age. And I know that there's a great documentary by Sir Ken Robinson. I think it's called "Does Education Kill Creativity?" And it touches on this, so it would be really interesting to see your findings.
I mean, I think one thing that I'm learning is that something that we've traditionally valued as the top of the pyramid is literacy and numeracy.
Yes.
Those NAPLAN and those standardised testing sorts of things they measures. I think giving them their rightful value is something that's starting to happen, and maybe it's not all about literacy and numeracy, but that's certainly important, especially having our fundamentals in them is important. But some things that I don't like using the term, but something like soft skills I think is being valued more, and character, as you mentioned, creativity, problem solving, communication, all those sorts of skills, which is kind of hard to measure.
I guess it develops the EQ a lot, and social skills, which is hard to measure, but it is teachable. You can teach empathy, you can teach students social skills, but it's not necessarily as measurable as a math score or as an English score.
And there does seem to be a shift towards those sorts of things that I think we're finding. I feel like we need to value a little bit more.
Absolutely. Well, I know when I was teaching, I used to have what's called a gold class, where I would throw away the textbook, and if there are parents watching from students I taught, now you know what I did, and I would teach them coaching, because I was studying, while I was teaching, I was studying coaching and neuro-linguistic programming, so I'd actually teach them for that class, and the kids loved it. I did guided visualization before a test, and they got better results in their test as a result of it, and they loved it. And so I know that this is mindfulness is really important, and that there is a shift towards how we think, and to teach people how to think, and to teach people how to let go of thoughts and create new empowering thoughts, which is so important for any industry you work in.
There's a quote by, I think it's Peter Olin, says, "I'm much more interested in how you think than what you think."
Exactly.
And I love that.
And I think that summarises what education should be doing, is teaching us how to think, to prepare us for this world. So, Nathan, it's not easy to leave a really stable profession such as teaching, to then go and follow your creative purpose in making films. And so I know that there are people, I've coached clients who are in this stage where they want to leave their profession, but there's so much uncertainty around following your passion, and you can't just kind of quit and then just start something necessarily. Maybe some people can, but it's not always the case. So I'm curious, how did you do it, and what advice would you give to people who are wanting to do this?
Well, for me, I was a classroom teacher for 8 years in the end. And there was always just this fire in the belly to do filmmaking. It wasn't that I disliked teaching, it wasn't that I disliked the place I was in. I had a great school, a great community, and I miss that place, and keep in touch with people there. So it wasn't from that place, but I just kind of felt this urge to do something else. I heard someone say recently, because I'm moving away from a stable income, a great community and all that stuff, into kind of an unknown.
Yes.
So it definitely wasn't the safe option. It wasn't the that. But someone said to me recently, they said, if there anything else in life makes you happy rather than making films, do that, because filmmaking is such an unstable, uncertain future. So if there's anything else that you can do that you get enjoyment from, do that, because it'll be much more secure. But I love what I do, and I don't want to do anything else. I think for me, at the end of the day, it comes down to priorities. We spend so much of our lives at work. There's got to be more than just a pay packet for that. And so for me, I've compromised on things like a salary, like not knowing if and when I'll be able to buy a house.
Or doing those amazing traveling.
Traveling. Exactly. I don't know exactly what I'm doing in 2 or 3 months' time, where a lot of other people do.
So there's a lot of uncertainty. So how do you manage that mentally?
I'm doing what I love. So it kind of like
helps.
Yeah, definitely. Like I want to spend my weekends at work. I look forward to Mondays. I look forward to the stuff I'm working on.
Yeah.
So it depends on what's most important to you. There's no right or wrong answer. You got to figure that out for yourself.
Absolutely.
But have a good long hard think about what you value in life, and then make the choices that align with that.
I love that, and there seems to be a common theme with these episodes, and that is what you value. And I think it is so important, because so often we aren't even consciously aware of exactly what it is that we value. And when we sit down and we work out, well, what is most important to me, and how can I live according to that within the framework? Because I know you also did a bit of relief teaching to supplement your income with filmmaking. And I think that that's really important too, is that it's, you know, you've got to also pay the bills. And so it's not going to be an easy ride, but if you're doing what you love and you're living according to your values, as you said, you want to work on the weekends, you want to work on the Monday, and it just gives you that drive to continue.
I feel like moving from teaching into filmmaking, when I was doing it, a lot of teachers were like, oh, that's so brave or so creative, so I really envy you. To me, it felt like I'm doing the selfish thing. It's kind of like, this is what I want to do. Like I value education while I'm doing this project on the documentary. Like I think schooling is one of the most noble and most useful things, and we need quality education in the world.
Absolutely.
But I left that to do what I want to do, which is make films. So I feel kind of like selfish when I'm doing it, but I love it, and I don't. I think if I'm doing anything else, it's kind of like it's taking away from what I really want to do.
And you'll be when you do what you really love, you're a far happier person. You'll be a far happier husband. If you're a parent, you'll be a far happier parent, because every day you feel meaning and purpose. And yes, you got that from education, but it didn't light you up the same way. I think that life, I just had a funeral on the weekend, and I truly think that life is too short for us to not pursue our dreams and our goals. So
I feel like I think about my mortality far more than the average person, and I think maybe those questions that people say they have on their deathbed, I think I had those questions 50 years earlier.
I love it. And that's why you're here today. That's great. Okay, so if people would like to I know you haven't finished the documentary, but is there a way that they can keep in touch with you so that when the documentary is ready and it's ready to launch, where can they go?
Probably the best way to be aware of it is just follow our company on our social media and website. Raygun Film Co. So we're on Facebook,
I'll write it. It'll
Instagram,
be under
down there. Is that what you do?
So
we just got Facebook, Instagram, and a website. So it'll be a little way off.
When are you hoping to have it released?
I don't want to say a time in case I'm not there. Definitely.
Then let's not put a time. Okay, so you might be waiting a while, but It will be worth it, trust me. So Nathan, last question. If you had a magic microphone that could be heard by 7.2 billion people around this world, and you only had 30 seconds to use it, what message would you share?
I don't think anyone wants to listen to me for 30 seconds. Like, my mum always told me I had the most monotonous voice in the world.
Well, if they're still listening to this now, they can know that's okay.
I think all I can think of is be kind. I think we need a bit more of that, a bit more empathy and a bit more kindness.
I love
does that sound really cliche and cheesy?
No,
it does, doesn't it?
My tag at the end of this show is be kind to yourself and each other. So
Yeah, I think we need, I think it's relevant. I think we need a bit more of that.
Be kind and show empathy. I love that. It's so important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nathan, I really appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing within the Australian film industry and with this documentary. And thank you for pursuing your dreams, because I know this world is a better place as a result of it. Thank you for watching as well. Nathan and I would love to hear from you, so please feel free to comment below and share with us just something that really touched you or your own experience about the education system. We'd love to get this conversation going, so please feel free to comment below. And thank you so much for watching The Change Collective. Be kind to yourself and to each other, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye. Head on over to meganjaworski.com/thrive to grab your free video training to help you move through overwhelm, imposter syndrome, and fear, so you can stand up with courage and have a greater impact. This is your gift from me to you.